Now we resume session 8, Education in the Digital Age. Our remaining speakers today will navigate the landscape of digital education, discussing both its prospects and hurdles. Moving on, we have Mrs. Deepti Sawhney, who will shed light on reimagining, re-engineering, and redesigning the future of education in the digital age. I request AV team to play the introduction video.
Ms. Deepti Sawhney, CEO and founder of Mahatattva, currently working with Google India on NCERT projects for teacher training. Ms. Deepti has 20 years rich experience as a leader in technology integration, led ICT initiatives at the British School and Learn Today, India Today Group. She also wrote the technology curriculum for the teacher resource book for the Royal Academy, Bhutan. She has been awarded with many accolades such as Microsoft Innovative Teachers Leadership Award, BET Asia Leadership Award for her project Design Thinking for Social Change. Ms. Deepti Sawhney, a leader, an innovator, creator and teachers educator. Her innovative educational contribution have made a significant impact both in India and worldwide.
Thank you for making that so charismatic. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Deepti Sawhney, as the little video said that. So we have been hearing a lot about policy, a lot about frameworks, and of course, the policy makers here. So that's team A. I'm behind the scenes, I'm team B. So I'm with you all. So today, the session that I have, the 18 minutes that I'm going to showcase in front of you, will be 22 years of my technology integration. And I've got a cheat sheet for you so that when you start thinking about using technology in your classrooms, what should that look like? I think in India, because it's a vast country, we have been talking forever for people to have inclusion, people to have that kind of empathy when we are integrating something like technology in the schools and in the classrooms. I think when the pandemic happened, a ubiquitous sort of a parallel world opened up. And for very less money, we have people who have access to technology. So I think if we look at the future, it will always be a catch-up game. What is the future looking like? Let's try and do this, that, or the other. I'm saying here, we are educators. Let's create that future. So when we talk about opportunities, how do I go forward? So when we are looking at the future, what does it entail? I think when we look at that perspective of technology integration, it means different things to different people. It doesn't matter. What does it mean to your ecosystem? Let's have a look at that. And when people stand up on stages and when you read these research papers, there are these big jargon words which come up and you don't understand what's that happening and that makes you lose interest. I would say, just sit with me for these 10, 15 minutes. Let's look at the various things that are involved in technology integration and let's tackle that together. So if you look at technology integration, I don't want to start with the challenges. I've put up opportunities. So a whole lot of people today and yesterday spoke about personalizing the learning. Now, personalizing learning, we've been hearing like forever. When the mobile device comes into your hand, it becomes personalized. Nobody taught you how to use the mobile. It was because you needed it, you used it. But I think what is coming up along with that is the data. There's so much data coming up. So I would say if you're looking at personalizing learning, look at the data and how can you personalize it. When you're looking at engaging and having interactive sort of learning in your classroom, look at AI in that way. I mean, don't look at that as a threat. I'm sure a whole lot of you have seen Google Arts and Culture. There's amazing virtual tours which you can go in and you can see and you can explore for yourself. Looking at perspectives, we have been talking about, I think even when I was in school, we used to do global exchanges, right? But what do you mean by that? Getting the children to gain those perspectives, to be able to understand, to be able to empathize with a person, with a student living in Japan, because it so happens that the children who are studying in India today are going to go and study in America and maybe work in Australia. So the children need to understand and need to understand each other's perspectives, and technology can do it for you. So look at technology as an opportunity. I think when we look at resources, it's TMI, too much information. Are you teaching your children judiciously which information to take and what to do with it? So we are looking at information, we are looking at resources, but how do we use these resources? So look at that as an opportunity. I think when we look at teacher professional development, a whole lot of teacher professional now, today, has become personalized. I can go onto YouTube and go and teach fractions even though I'm not a math teacher. So there are resources available. I am an educator. I should be able to do the unbelievable, the unconceivable, because I can also learn just like a 12-year-old can in front of the YouTube. Looking at multiple learning pathways, I am going to talk a little bit about inclusion in detail later, but I think that is something when we talk about cohesiveness in the Indian subcontinent and in our country in particular, we have to look at what inclusion looks like in a classroom. When you buy a device, do you see that whether it follows the UDL, the Universal Design of Learning? Do you know that if you have an iPad or a phone in your hand, it has accessibility features? Most of us don't use it. So looking at access, looking at authentic learning, making sure that the learning links with the children, I think critical thinking, problem solving, all of that has been talked about today. I think we just have to make that jump. So we are going to engineer the future. A lot has been talked about AI in education today. And I'm sure a whole lot of you are reading about it. I would say, do a curveball. Get it back to your opportunity. Look at this, what AI can do for you. It can do personalized learning. We've already talked about that. I'm going to look for patterns. I'm going to see how my children are learning in the classroom. It talks about adaptive learning. It talks about differentiation, all of that. Whatever opportunities that we have been talking about, AI can do it. So instead of waiting for what AI can do in teaching and learning, start thinking about what you can do with AI. So do I have your consensus there? Are you with me? Yes, I think we are educators. We can create that future. So I'm just going to leave you with this cheat sheet. I am going to speak a little bit more. But please have a look at these 5 pillars. If you as a leader, as an educator, you understand what these 5 pillars are, your leadership in digital leadership in the school is done if you follow this well. The first one, of course, is to understand what are the enabling factors of your setup. How do you get your teachers to do the professional development? Is your pedagogy aligned with it? Re-envisioning your spaces. We spoke about spaces yesterday as well. And of course, what Rakshit spoke about today, cybersecurity. Now, I might say these things very quickly, and I say these are the 5 pillars. Go ahead and do it, but you have to mull over this. This doesn't come overnight. So I'm just telling you these are the 5 pillars, and you follow them with your vision, with your strategy, and your adaptability. Make sure that you are agile. I made the 2-year plan today, and tomorrow something has changed in technology. Be agile. It's okay. Change gears and walk again. When you are looking at professional development, a whole lot of us spoke about professional development, but when you talk about technology professional development, is it sustainable? So we are working with the Delhi government for the last 2.5 years now. The first thing we did was we made sure that there were core teams, there were master trainers in the system, and we made sure that people knew that if Mahatattva moves out, they know what to do. So being sustainable in technology especially with your own people is very important. So are you working towards that? So PLCs, PLL, all of that, core team, you can call it what you want to call it. What is more important is that the core team that you have created is sustainable, and it's there in your school, and it's relatable to the culture of your school. This is something which is very simple. There's TEPAC, there is SMR model. A whole lot of leaders, especially in school, says when you call them for conferences, they will be 1+1. So who all usually go for technology conferences? The principal and the IT teacher. But I think these kind of things you should know, so that when you go to these conferences, you know what people are talking about, what they are saying. So SAMR, if you really look at it, is how do you integrate technology in your schools, in your classrooms. So if you are just looking at typing instead of writing, you are just substituting technology. You are doing nothing with it. If you are looking at augmentation, maybe the children are creating presentations, they are conducting some sort of a peer review. If you are doing modification, then the children are creating podcasts. They are releasing that to the world. Children are critiquing them. Their peers are giving them feedback. So that is when augmentation happens. And when you look at redefinition, it is something that you have created absolutely innovative. So aim for the last two rungs, modification and redefinition. So if the children are doing nursery rhymes, don't show them videos, please, because that doesn't do anything to them or to the learning. So few things that you should keep in mind. These things need to change. These need not to change as in change the learning outcomes, but the way they look like. So if you are thinking of technology integration, it doesn't happen like, oh, I know Padlet, let me use it. No, it has to go there in the learning outcome. So make sure you are redesigning there. A lot of us spoke about competencies. Right? Competency can't be done. आज मैं जा रही हूँ value education class पढ़ाने, doesn't work like that. It has to be integrated in the system. Your skills and competencies in the same way. I think as a leader, you have to set the role. You have to say what are the clear expectations. Even if it says that I have one laptop and the schools will use it in turns, in groups, that's okay. But set your vision right. Because once you set your vision, once you know your resources, once you know the people who are going to implement it, only then will you be successful. We spoke a lot about equitable access. Please, when you make sure when you are buying software, when you're buying hardware, when you're looking at teacher professional development, when you're looking at doing parent orientation for all of this, make sure that you are looking at what is the universal design of this device. Am I actually including all the teachers? The PE teachers and the sports teachers always get left out. Why? Because that's something you cannot connect with. And like somebody said today or yesterday, that they have been using, in physical education, they have been using technology like forever. So why are we not doing it? So make sure that there is inclusion in everything that you do. So a few points on inclusion, and I'm sure Ms. Jhangra will be sharing this presentation with you all, and you can take notes from there. Basically, all of us here are here doing our thing for students, right? When you get the children to become self-regulated learners, problem solvers, you actually are driving them towards the skill set which are required by the industry. I usually don't say what the industry wants. It's usually what the future wants. And like I said, we are educators. We are going to create that future with our children, with our students. So when you do this flip in your teaching and learning using technology, that's the kind of learner that you will get. We spoke about cybersecurity. Rakshit spoke about what's happening in the world out there. This is a program that we run for CBSE, certified program, which is beautiful. It is a whole year sort of a program which you can implement. There are booklets for it, there are activities for it, and the plus thing, of course, is you get a CBSE certification. So I think when we talk about digital leadership, we have to make sure that it's not a one-off workshop that is done by somebody who came into the school. It has to be a program which is run through and through because of the access that our children have to technology in today's world. I am going to talk about challenges. We will talk about challenges, but very, very flittingly. We are looking at cost. Technology is expensive. right? But we can always have a decision on what we are going to buy and how we are going to use it. Equity and access, how many will you buy? You have a school of 1,800 children, how do you buy? But there are solutions. You can have trolleys which go into the classroom, and just like you have a timetable for your computer room, you can have a timetable for your trolleys. So how do you do your problem solving is up to you, but this is a challenge in many schools. Professional development, there are so many things happening. How do you get the teachers to become equipped? There is technology integration. Most of the people actually think that it's a standalone sort of a thing which can run along. No, it doesn't. You have to integrate it in your teaching and learning very, very sincerely. So that is a challenge. Digital literacy, people don't know the difference between digital literacy, digital fluency. How do you understand what these things are? For me, knowing what these definitions are is not important, but knowing the crux of what I need to do in my school as a school leader is important. Looking at technical support, looking at privacy. Rakshit spoke about these various cases which happen in school. So there can be skill sets, but it's difficult to change the mindsets. So how do you get the teachers to understand it's okay? I know of teachers who have 40 years experience, and they used to tell me, Deepti, just turn around. I don't want you to come and teach me anything. I don't want to use technology in my classroom. I've been doing brilliant things, and I don't want to change any of that. So there are people who are like that, but I think we can change all of that. The change will begin with you. So how do you change the culture of technology integration in your school? It starts with a strategy. So what is your strategy? What is your vision? It will be inspired by your thought leadership. What do you think? Pata nahi ye kya kara rahe hain? One word, one sentence like this will trickle down to say technology is not important in our school. You have to understand that pedagogy will change, and it should change to integrate technology. And of course, you have to put your people first, right? So I think one last slide, and I think this should sum it all for us. When we look at technology, please understand it should have a human-centric approach. So if you are looking at integrating technology in your school, how is the parent affected? How is the teacher affected? How is the teacher affected? Student, parents, everybody in the school, how are they going to be affected? Any integration in your school should be with the human in the middle, the empathy in the middle. Thank you so much for listening. You were a brilliant audience. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ma'am, for your thought-provoking insights into shaping the future of digital education. Now I request Mrs. Nandita Khanna, Joint Secretary, Mumbai, Sahodaya, to felicitate Mrs. Deepti Sawhney. Please put your hands together for Mrs. Deepti Sawhney. Thank you, ma'am.